Good morning, everyone. Welcome, my digital pathology trailblazers. A couple of updates. So yesterday, I gave a presentation for a group interested in image analysis from the Cincinnati Children's Hospital.
Learn about the newest digital pathology trends in science and industry, meet the most interesting people in the niche, and gain insights relevant to your own projects. Here is where pathology meets computer science. You are listening to the Digital Pathology Podcast with your host, Dr. Alexandra Zhurov.
And it was interesting, very mixed group. I don't think I have ever given a presentation to such a mixed group. And the mixed group means there were radiologists, there were pathologists of different level of interest and expertise in AI, and there were radiologists who are, in general, in principle, are like 25 years ahead of pathology. But with the new advancements, they're doing what we're doing. So by new advancements, I mean foundation models, maybe incorporating reports, large language models into their work. They have advantage in multimodality because they have CTs, they have the normal X-rays, they have ultrasound and different modalities. And so it was interesting. To me, it was interesting because I knew this was a group with interest in image analysis, in AI, but then based on the questions, I realized, okay, not everybody is on the same level. So I started presenting a little bit differently. I hope it went well. And the organizers said they're going to share the recording from this presentation. So whenever I get to edit it, you're going to hear it in the podcast, right? My digital pathology trailblazers, I see you are here. Give me a thumbs up wherever you're joining, but let me know where you're tuning in from. So in that presentation yesterday, I was giving examples of both things that are very cutting edge, that are just starting, like this program called PathChat, which can basically take snippets of a histopathology image and recognize what this is. And at the end, I showed a video from a conference from the Digital Diagnostic Summit where I have these earrings with a multinucleated giant cell, and we let this PathChat analyze it, and it, well, I already spoiled the story for you. It recognized it, but it was so much fun. But back to my train of thought. So the more classical approaches, like supervised deep learning approaches, where it makes sense to do image analysis for a particular entity because it is difficult to assess visually in a consistent way. And I still think, regardless how many foundation models are going to be created, there is no one foundation model yet that is going to cover it all. So I still think there is value in dedicated apps, image analysis apps, applications that cover a specific entity, specific one image analysis problem. And I very much believe, and that's what the first paper is about, that whenever there is a way to do it better with image analysis, let's figure out a way to do it. Now we have the infrastructure, now we have the software. So that's what happened in our first paper, and we're gonna dive into our paper. So this paper from Journal of Pathology Informatics, and this group is from Moscow, Russia. And we're talking about LVI PathNet and segmentation and classification pipeline for detection of lymphovascular invasion in whole slide images of lung adenocarcinoma. What happened here is they decided that they're going to quantify lymphovascular invasion. Why did they in lung cancer, right? Because this is a significant prognostic factor. And whenever I read something, okay, this is important for prognosis, or that you can basically like calculate something based on histopathological features, the more consistently and reliably, and the less variability in evaluating those features, the better, and the better this is your, so to say, prognostic marker. Anyway, so this is a significant prognostic factor, the lymphovascular invasion. The study aims to develop a deep learning model for lymphovascular invasion detection in whole slide images, and they evaluated also its effectiveness within pathologist information system. And they had pathologists annotate, we still have pathologists annotating, and they annotated invading tumor cells in 162 whole slide images in non-mucinous lung adenocarcinoma. So here I want to emphasize something, because we were talking, foundation models, millions of slides, hundreds of thousands. Not everybody, and maybe once they're trained, you can buy them and you can use them. But for these specific applications, even so, the amount of data that goes into the development of those applications varies. So if we have an approach that is handcrafted features, which is in this case of this lymphovascular invasion, maybe I would define a vessel, a cross-section of a lymph vessel, or maybe a longitudinal. I will basically define how it looks, give the parameters, and then I would need even less data than those 162 slides. But for more generalizable, it would have to be more. But here I have a specific application, lymphovascular invasion, 162 whole slide images of non-mucinous lung adenocarcinoma, and there were 2 external and 1 internal data sets, and 2 models were trained, and they were trained to segment vessels and then identify images with lymphovascular invasion features. 2 things, segmentation and then classification. Is it lymphovascular invasion or not? And they had the Deep Lab V3 model, which was recognizing the vessels, and it had an intersection over union of 0.88. So that's pretty good. What is intersection over union? I think we already talked about it, but let me tell you once again. So intersection over union, when I would annotate my hand, and then somebody else would annotate the hand in the same image, how much do my hands overlap? Obviously, they would need to be like that, but how much do they overlap? If they overlap 100%, that's a fantastic one intersection over union. If they don't overlap 100%, but 0.88 is really good. When they touch, then it's like bad intersection over union, but maybe you can use a different metric. So that's intersection over union between the model and the annotations of the pathologist. And then for the classification of lymphovascular invasion, we had F1 score of 0.96 and AUC ROC of 0.99. That's like very high. That's high. Anyway, so what the conclusion was here, that this model was robust. The important thing is that pathologist evaluation time for lymphovascular invasion detecting decreased by an average of 16.95% and by 21 in hard cases. This is interesting because recently, meaning yesterday, I also gave another webinar. Well, I didn't give this webinar. I was just a panelist on this webinar. And a colleague of mine who led this project gave this webinar. And we were evaluating how much faster did using AI for detection of tox pathologies how much faster did it make us? And it was around the 21% mark, over 21%. And and some people are asking if there is a certification of attending this event. If you are interested in getting certified that you spend this half an hour discussing literature, let me know in the comments, and I will have my team go into the comments and see who was interested in that. If you registered through StreamYard, then I have your email address. If you're on LinkedIn joining, I can send you a message, or in any other way, leave a comment so that I have proof that you have been here live or as a viewer, and then we can figure out a way to certify this time. If this is something that's useful for you, It's literature research. This is funny. Sorry, literature review. My husband, he's an MD clinical pathologist, and actually for his CE, continuous education points, he has to demonstrate what papers he was reviewing. And I told him, hey, view all the videos that I have on those digital pathology papers. It's already like I talk about those papers and you have the links to the papers. So if you're interested in doing something like this, let me know. And I can give you a certificate of attendance if I know that you guys were here live. Leave me a comment and let me know that you would like a certificate. Let's start doing this. It's our time that we're putting into our continuous education. So, summing up this lymphovascular invasion paper, the pathologists were faster and they were more consistent in the diagnostic assessment. Oh, fantastic. And if you are on YouTube, then just let me know also how I can find you, because through LinkedIn, it's easier to send messages from through YouTube. Don't leave your email in the comment, but get in touch with me on LinkedIn or via email. You get emails from me that this live stream is happening every week. Now, let's talk about our next paper, which is integrating telepathology and digital pathology with AI, an inevitable future. Yes, I would say the presence is overlapping with the future. Why I like this paper, it's a review, so it's going to be a review what's going on out there. It's published in Vet World. That's why I love it, because I'm a veterinary pathologist. And I see a collaboration between, this group is from Brazil, from Sao Paulo, and we have the Faculty of Medicine, we have School of Veterinary Medicine, and then we have Department of Animal Sciences. A heart for collaboration of veterinary and MD pathologists. If I would design like a perfect dream residency, I would design a pathology residency for all pathology, for medical and veterinary pathology together. So going back, veterinary medicine and human medicine, or MD pathologists and veterinary pathologists working together. This is a common practice in the pharmaceutical industry, but outside of the pharmaceutical industry, I don't think so much. I know when I talk to diagnostic pathologists, they don't really know what what veterinary pathologists do. So that's why a beautiful heart for this collaboration. And I do agree, this is an inevitable future. We're going to be, whenever we can, use AI to make our life easier. And they say, this group says that so AI, telepathology and digital pathology, so these are of course interconnected. When you have digital pathology, you can do telepathology, it's part of digital pathology, and we can have easier information exchange, enhance teaching and research. So to enhance teaching, I couldn't agree more. To the power of education, you probably know the story, but for those who don't know, I failed boards once. So I'm a board certified veterinary pathologist, but it took me 2 attempts to actually get my board certification. And the worst part, because the exam consisted of several parts, and one of them was histopathological evaluation, and I failed it. And it's okay, what kind of pathologist are you if you cannot do histopathological evaluation? This is your job, right? So you should do that. So to do that, at that time, it was 2016/17 when I took my boards, we were evaluating this on the microscopes and glass slides. But at that time, I was in the process of moving to the US. Somehow I was like, I didn't have a good microscope, and I found myself in a situation where it was difficult for me to study. And at that time, there was this, I don't know, notion, or like some people would emphasize very much how important it is that you have your good microscope that you're used to, because this situation is so stressful. And at some point I said, okay, I don't have a microscope at the moment that is decent. It's clunky. I cannot do it while traveling. Let me study on digital slides. And I did. With a friend of mine, we basically met over Skype every day and would review 4 cases together on digital pathology, with the knowledge that I knew that later at the exam, I'm going to be doing it on glass. So I kind of did it in reverse, and it worked. The second time I passed my boards by studying on digital slides. My thought going into it was, it doesn't matter what medium you're using to view those images if you recognize the content. So I learned to recognize the content, and it translated into reviewing those slides on the microscope. So very much enhanced teaching is something I stand by. And I like this also, that it shows promise for both human and veterinary medicine. At some point in my career, I was considering a career in One Health. So One Health is even more than veterinary medicine and human medicine. It's also environmental health to improve the health of the world. And I then went to the industry instead. But that's okay. There still is an interest in One Health, and I very much love when veterinary medicine and human medicine work together. Let's talk about our fourth paper called Spatial Heterogeneity of PD-1 and PD-L1 Defined Osteosarcoma Microenvironment in Single-Cell Spatial Resolution. So here already, when you read this title, it's, oh, okay, we're next level of complexity. This is in laboratory investigation because we are looking at spatial resolution of single cells. This is a trend. Trend is not a good word, not the correct word that should be used. How do you say trend in science? Let's do direction. Direction in the immune oncology space. It's not new. So here, the spatial heterogeneity of PD-1, PD-L1 defined osteosarcoma microenvironments at single cell spatial resolution. So immune oncology, right? Immune oncology is the whole space of figuring out how to motivate the immune system to actually fight cancer and not destroy the cancer, but so that immune cells fight this cancer. They keep fighting those pre-cancerous cells all the time. So what happened? What did the cancer do that it blocked those immune cells from fighting it? And the field of immune oncology tries to motivate in quotation marks, of course, the immune system to fight back. And to know like how to motivate the immune system to fight back, you need to learn about the composition of microenvironments. So all these immune cells that are in the tumor or around the tumor, and this is where the spatial profiling comes into play. So what happened here? The osteosarcoma is predominantly affecting children and adolescents, highly aggressive, and a bone cancer with 5-year survival rate of 65 to 70. And what cells are we looking at? We're looking at the macrophages, TAMs, tumor affecting macrophages, because tumor associated, not affecting, tumor associated macrophages, TAMs, and other cellular subtypes, including T cells. So we have T cells, osteoblasts, and osteoclasts. So we're talking about bone remodeling. When you look on H&E, you can recognize them, but to actually do the spatial resolution stuff, you need some kind of specific markers. And this is critical for understanding the complexities of osteosarcoma tumor microenvironments. So TME is tumor microenvironments, and to get insights into potential immunotherapeutic strategies. So what did this group do? They used deep learning-based digital image analysis with multiplex fluorescence immunohistochemistry. And this was not only to detect cells, segment them, but also to measure the intensity of the fluorescence. By measuring the intensity of the fluorescence, they want to probably measure the amount of proteins expressed. What was here, the conclusion, they revealed that there is a heterogeneity in cell composition and spatial orchestration between PD-1 and PD-L1. So this is an immune oncology pathway that is being targeted with immune oncology drugs. This is programmed death ligand and programmed death receptor. And it highlighted the role of T cell functionality in this context. And the drug that is being used for this to target this particular pathway is called nivolumab. And they also showed the efficacy of this drug of nivolumab in suppressing tumor growth and enhancing lymphocyte infiltration without altering the M1, M2 tumor-associated macrophages. So this ratio, this M1 to M2, is something that you don't want to alter, because then one of these macrophages take over and they're bad macrophages and the other are good macrophages. I know this is not really very scientifically detailed explanation, but basically it's important to keep the ratio at a certain level and don't alter it with drugs. So here they showed it's not being altered. And they say that by leveraging the multiplex immunofluorescence and AI, they underscore the critical role of tumor-associated macrophages and T-cell interactions. So they are able to see where the cells are in relation to each other, what they do, how many of them get far enough into the tumor, a lot of very specific measurements that are simply not a pathologist is not able to visually quantify that. You see it, you can confirm it, you can confirm if the image analysis algorithm is working well, but physiologically, from the vision principles of physiology and nature, you're not able to quantify this complexity of information. So here, if we want to investigate that, there's no other way than image analysis. In the other stuff based on H&E, like we had at the beginning, the lymphovascular invasion, you can try, but then you're just inconsistent. Here, it's not possible. So this is the only way of doing it. So yeah, and they propose new therapeutic avenues focusing on tumor-associated macrophage repolarization and targeted immunotherapies, thus underscoring the study's potential impact of improving osteosarcoma treatment. And treatment changes molecular biology, so we should do whole genome sequencing, epigenomic and primary and metastatic tumors. So yes, and the molecular is a big part of any treatment, any diagnostic process. I love the fact that now we can combine images with molecular in a way that combines those two. So what I'm talking about would be molecular predictions from images that later can be confirmed with molecular methods. And basically, because of AI, we can now do a lot more multimodal work than just with images. One thing that I wanted to give you an update that kind of came from the Cincinnati Children's presentation that I gave. I prepared a presentation. I know you might have heard me talking about a course, a digital pathology course based on my YouTube videos. So I did more or less a presentation based on a lot of things that I already explored in the YouTube videos. And I embedded it into the presentation. And yesterday I was thinking that, oh, I need to make it available for more people and give a little bit more context about those videos. So I'm going to be building a course based on this, called something like an introduction to AI in pathology. This is going to be a course that I'm going to be updating yearly, because when I look at my book back at the shelf, I know that I published it last year, 2023, and the AI chapter needs to be updated. So that's going to be something I'm going to be working on in January. But before I get to do that, you're going to get access to the course. And if you're on my email list, then you will know everything about it. So these were all the papers for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day. Bye.